replenish funding for the Treasury's Paycheck Protection Program, the loans that enable small businesses to pay their workers during the corona crisis. As you know, the Treasury Department's first installment, which was $349 billion, vaporized in just 13 days. Clean ran out of money. The new deal reportedly grants a fresh $310 billion to the PPE, another $60 billion for disaster loans, $50 billion earmarked for hospitals struggling through the pandemic, and $25 billion to shore up testing capacity. How the country pays for all of this will in part be up to my next guest, House Ways and Means Ranking Member Kevin Brady, Republican of Texas. Good to have you, sir. Thank you for joining us. First, give us your best guess as to when you believe the House will get this in front of them and be able to vote on this next phase.
Yeah, Liz, thanks for having me. I think the short answer is very soon. I think we could have a vote as soon as Wednesday. I know most of us are planning to fly back to Washington tomorrow for the vote. Perhaps that could slip, but I hope not. Look, our small businesses need this cash infusion. I know the number of local businesses that are just desperately waiting for these funds to be replenished in Texas. Certainly, there's a lot of them. It's this way around the country. I think this is a good package. If you think about it, as you said, really almost $370 billion for small businesses, either through the PPP or those economic EIDL loans, which a number of our businesses are using as well. That's a lifeline right there. And as far as the extra funding for our hospitals, there's no question they're going to need it.
I agree with you, but I have heard that some experts say the amount is a little lopsided and should be at least focusing more on earmarking more than $25 billion for testing, because that's really the only way, the experts say, that the economy can reopen with the confidence and the safety that would get us back on our feet.
Well, I do think we need an effort. Ways and Means Republicans are certainly working on really a healthy workplace type of tax incentive that while this money may go to our government agencies and others to accelerate the testing, we think businesses, as they return their workers and create a workplace safe for their customers as well, are going to need a little help on the testing side as they reconfigure their stores and their plants and their workplaces as they buy the protective gear they need. We think there's a way for Congress to help create incentives to help them do this this year. It really varies. I think businesses are responsible and can find a way, as we continue to apply maximum pressure on the virus, to reopen safely for their workers and customers. We just got to give them some standards and criteria in which to operate. And I will tell you, so many people are ready to go back to work, and they believe they can do it safely as well.
Let's hope so. Now, as the so-called fog of war clears, we are seeing, Congressman, and I know you know about this, that some companies and organizations that were already flush with cash soaked up much of the first tranche of the small business money, even though they were far from hardship cases. What kind of backstops, if any, would you like to see put into this phase? And is that even possible as we rush to get the money out?
Yeah, so I think the CARES Act was really focused on injecting cash into businesses, just as you say, but it was really about focus on keeping workers on their payroll. So it doesn't matter if you're, a server or a dishwasher at Ruth's Chris, or you are at Mel's Country Cafe in Tomball, Texas, your job really matters. And so those dollars really was designed to go help those workers keep their jobs, as well as allowing these businesses to ride it out. I did note, as you said, Shake Shack has found another way to finance themselves through this virus and get ready to rebound. That's terrific. But I think the majority, I'd say, I'm pretty confident, much of the dollars in the PPP are going to small businesses from small lenders really across the country.
Yeah, because you don't want to see some forensic accounting later that shows that a huge amount had gotten to the hedge funds, we've been seeing that, some of the private equity guys who are making a lot of money. They're not doing anything illegally by taking the money, but it's not in the spirit. Sir, nobody denies that the Americans and the American public are in deep financial trouble and need that urgent help. But at its core, your organization, Ways and Means, that committee is supposed to come up with the policy that would create the revenue to enable this massive amount of spending. When this is over, how will tax policy need to be adjusted? Would you be comfortable with raising taxes on corporations who have a very comfortable rate right now?
Well, right now, I don't think we could do anything worse than raise taxes on either workers or the businesses that employ them and are trying to come back. Yes. And so I really think, Democrats especially ought to call a timeout on their need for higher tax increases. We ought to focus on getting the economy back up and running, getting those jobs, those paychecks, the same things we did to create the most competitive economy in the world, incentivize business investment and reward work. We ought to be doing going forward as well. And I don't think that includes tax increases. I think it continues. In fact, I know it doesn't. What it really should include is a way to contain our expenses, grow the economy like every other business that's working their way out of this coronavirus. We're going to have to work our way long-term out of the spending we have made to get out of this.
Gotcha. Before we go, Congressman, we've got this breaking news on oil trading negative $30 a barrel. Your state of Texas, obviously, the economy is highly dependent on oil production. As we watch Crude do something it's never done before, this is for May delivery, and it's because there's no storage and there's no demand. The industry is setting up Mayday flares. Would you be pushing for a bailout of the oil industry? And to that end, who wouldn't you bail out? Would it be the cruise industry, the cruise lines?
Yes. So I have to tell you, energy is taking so many hits upon hits here over the last 2 months. It is incredible. And seeing it trade in negative territory, I never in my life thought I'd see that. I don't think that will last. I think this is temporary. I think it is this double whack on demand and no storage. I think the industry knows how to work their way out of this. I think it is helpful to be able to have the Strategic Petroleum Reserve buying some of this for storage. I do think the OPEC Plus agreement is helpful over time, but there's no question about it. This has been, in states like ours, this is uncharted territory.
Yeah, indeed. Hang in there, Congressman, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Thanks, Liz.